All right, Cowboys Nation. Buckle up because this whole situation has taken a wild turn that nobody saw coming. Out of nowhere, almost a full 3 weeks after that matchup, the Arizona Cardinals suddenly decided to drag an old play back into the spotlight as if it was some kind of scandal waiting to be exposed. And for what? For a routine football rep that happens in every stadium across the country, every single weekend. It is almost unbelievable to see an NFL player hop online long after the dust has settled just to point fingers about a play that the officials saw with their own eyes and didn't consider a problem in real time. When you watch the clip, it becomes even more baffling. The ball is snapped, the play develops, and right there at the bottom of the screen you see Tyler Guyton explode out of his stance and put in the kind of physical, textbook rep you want from a first-round pick. He gets his hands inside. He drives through the defender's chest, and he keeps working until the whistle. That is offensive line play in its purest form. And the crazy part is that Guyton has been stacking these kinds of reps for weeks, slowly but surely. He has been becoming exactly the type of foundational piece the Cowboys hoped he would be, sure. He had a couple of rough snaps earlier in the year, but since then he has responded with consistency, power, and a real edge that this offensive line desperately needed. So when you see a defender finally get frustrated enough to run to social media about a play from nearly a month ago, it tells you everything. That bruise must still be sitting on his lower back like a reminder of the moment he got walked straight into the turf. And what is wild is that he framed it like some kind of dirty hit, when anyone who has ever watched football at any level knows these plays happen all the time. High school, college. The league-dominant linemen bury guys. It is part of the job. It is part of the game. It is part of the physical battle these dudes sign up for. And if the defender thinks this was something outrageous, maybe he should take a moment to think about how often veteran linemen have done this to rookies coming into the league. This is nothing new. This is nothing shocking. It is simply football. Yet he blasted the NFL account like he was exposing some kind of crime. Meanwhile, the referee was standing a few feet away and didn't see anything worth throwing a flag over. That should have been the end of the conversation. But instead, we ended up with a rookie corner hopping online to complain publicly about a play where he simply got overpowered. The funniest part of all this is how the Cowboys reacted, because it showed exactly where the mentality of this team is right now. Osa cracked a joke. Guyton played it cool. And the rest of the locker room basically shrugged it off like, if you can't handle physical football, maybe this isn't the sport for you. It is refreshing to see the Cowboys respond this way, because for years this team has been labeled as soft or finesse or unable to match the physicality of elite opponents. Fans have seen countless games where Dallas gets pushed around in the trenches. Sometimes it has felt like the Cowboys were the ones getting embarrassed, the ones getting driven back, the ones on the wrong end of these bully ball plays. That is why this moment stands out. For once, it is the Cowboys being the aggressors. It is the Cowboys who look like the ones setting the tone. It is the Cowboys who are throwing the hits that stick with guys for weeks. And it is the Cowboys causing other teams to complain about their physicality. When was the last time anyone could say that? Guyton looking this strong is more than just a highlight. It is a symbol of something shifting. You can see a different energy growing inside the building. And it is coming from players who are playing with real attitude, real aggression, and real purpose. Guyton came into the year with critics questioning him, discussing his technique, pointing out the flaws from his rookie season. Instead of sulking, he spent the entire offseason grinding and correcting the issues that held him back. You see the difference in his footwork. You see the difference in his anchor. You see the confidence in the way he fires off the line. No hesitation, no fear, just raw, focused power. That is what the Cowboys have been missing. That is what the offense needed, and now that he is delivering it consistently, people outside of Dallas are starting to take notice. Some of them even taking notice in the most dramatic way possible, by posting online like they need the league to save them. It is wild to imagine an NFL player feeling the need to call out a physical rep like this, when legends of the past used to take hits 10 times worse and moved on without a second thought. You never saw older generations running to complain on social media because they understood the game. They understood the violence, the pride, the toughness required to survive in the trenches. Now we have defenders logging on weeks later to say they felt a block was too aggressive. That alone tells you how far the Cowboys have come. This team is no longer trying to finesse its way through these matchups. This team is no longer trying to sidestep physical battles. This team is embracing them, and whether it is Guyton tossing someone into the turf or another Cowboy setting the tone on defense, this new version of Dallas is showing signs of being meaner, grittier, tougher, and more willing to fight for every inch. That is exactly the kind of attitude this fan base has been begging for. And what makes all of this even more interesting is how the Cowboys have handled the narrative surrounding Guyton's rise. Instead of hyping him up publicly or using the moment as some kind of victory lap, they have let his film do the talking inside the building. They know how far he has come and how hard he has worked. But they also know he is only getting started. You can tell by the way his teammates react to situations like this that they respect the edge he brings. They know he is learning how to play with controlled violence, the type of physicality that defines real offensive linemen when you watch the way he engages defenders, the way he finishes plays, the way he plays through the whistle without crossing any lines. It sends a message across the league. It tells every future opponent that lining up across from him is not going to be a comfortable experience. And that is exactly what the Cowboys have lacked for such a long time. Someone who can enforce his will without apologizing for it every year. We hear about how Dallas wants to be more physical, how they want to bully opponents in the trenches rather than be the ones getting pushed around. But wanting something and actually doing it are two different things. This season, you can finally see the difference. The Cowboys are not backing down in the trenches, and they are not shying away from contact. They are attacking these moments. They are meeting physicality with even more physicality. They are embracing the identity that big, tough, old-school football teams always possessed. Even during the years when the Cowboys had a top-tier offensive line, there were still moments where they looked to finesse, to technical, to clean. Now you are starting to see that blend of technique and attitude. Guyton is not just blocking. He is finishing. He is not just protecting. He is asserting himself. And when your rookie lineman is playing with that kind of edge, it elevates the entire unit. You can also feel how this new tone affects the rest of the roster. When one guy starts playing with a certain level of energy, others respond. Defenders feed off it. Veterans notice it. Younger players take notes. When you see your teammate bury someone into the turf legally and cleanly, it sparks something in the locker room. It becomes part of the culture. It becomes part of the expectation. And with Dallas trying to take that next step from talented to dominant, moments like these matter more than people realize. It is not just about the highlight itself. It is about what it says about the mindset of the team. It shows that the Cowboys are done being passive. They are done accepting being the group that gets pushed around when things get tough. Instead, they are showing the football world that they are willing to punch back. And punch back harder. What makes this even more compelling is the contrast between how the Cowboys are responding on the field versus how the Cardinals reacted online. On one side, you have a young lineman growing into a real force, embracing the grind, embracing the identity of a physical presence. On the other side, you have a rookie corner who could not handle a tough rep and waited weeks to voice his frustration to millions of people. It is almost symbolic of the old Cowboys versus the new Cowboys. The old version might have been the one doing the complaining, looking for excuses, highlighting the wrong things. The new version is playing through it, owning their mistakes and coming back stronger. The new version is building confidence through effort and physicality. The new version is creating a standard that everyone else has to meet. This is the type of mindset that great teams feed on, and Guyton's development matters even more. When you look at the long-term picture of this offense, the Cowboys needed someone who could grow into a cornerstone on that line. They needed someone who could anchor the future of this unit and bring stability to an area that has dealt with injuries, inconsistency, and turnover. Seeing a young tackle taking massive strides this early in his career gives the Cowboys something they have been missing for years. Promise, not hypothetical promise. Real, on film. Measurable progress. You can see the difference in his hand placement. You can see the power in his upper body. You can see the way he re-anchors when he gets moved. You can see the calmness in his footwork during pass sets. This is what happens when talent and effort meet at exactly the right time. And as much as this whole situation turned into a talking point because of the Cardinals' reaction, the bigger story is how moments like this lay the foundation for a strong, intimidating identity. Great offensive lines throughout NFL history had nasty streaks. They had guys who played through the whistle. They had players who did not apologize for being dominant. Go look at the old-school Cowboys lines. Go look at the great lines from the Niners, the Steelers, The Patriots, every one of those groups had someone who brought an edge. Someone who never let a defender dictate the tone. Someone who had no issue planting a guy into the dirt if that is what the play required. That is the environment where championship football grows. And Dallas is slowly tapping back into that spirit. The reaction the Cardinals had is not the reaction of a team comfortable with physicality. It is the reaction of a team frustrated by getting outplayed in the trenches. When you are the one delivering the hits instead of taking them, opponents always react differently. Some get angrier. Some get tougher. Some respond right away. Others complain about it after watching the film. And some apparently jump on their phone weeks later to talk about it publicly. Whatever the case, the Cowboys should take it as a compliment. Because if an opponent is still thinking about a play nearly a month later, it means that rep left a mark physically and mentally. What makes this moment even funnier is how unfazed the Cowboys were by all the noise. They laughed it off because they know exactly what happened. They know it was a clean rep. They know the ref saw it. They know it was nothing more than a strong finish. And they know that physical football is not something you need to apologize for. If anything, the Cowboys should be encouraged because this type of play is exactly what championship teams do. They lean on opponents. They wear them down. They make every snap feel heavy. They make defenders hesitate. That is the value of a dominant defensive lineman. He changes not only the play you see on the screen, but the psyche of the guy lined up across from him. And when you look ahead, you start to see why this matters so much. The Cowboys cannot afford to be the soft team anymore. They cannot afford to avoid contact. They cannot afford to rely solely on explosiveness or finesse if they want to contend. They need to win battles in the trenches. They need to impose their will. They need to make teams feel uncomfortable lining up against them. And if Guyton continues playing with this level of aggression and confidence, he becomes one of the cornerstones of that transformation. He becomes part of the foundation of this new attitude. He becomes a tone setter. He becomes someone defenses have to prepare for every single week. This version of the Cowboys feels different. You can feel it in the way they talk. You can feel it in the way they play. You can feel it in the way they respond to adversity. The fan base has waited for a team that refuses to back down, that refuses to be pushed around, that refuses to let other teams define the energy of the game. And moments like this, even if they come wrapped in unnecessary drama, are reminders that the Cowboys are finally stepping into that role. They are owning it. They are embracing it. And they are letting their play speak louder than anything someone can post online. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. The NFL world is buzzing with whispers and speculation after what could be the most seismic free agency move in recent memory. Derrick Henry, the monstrous running back known for bulldozing defenders and rewriting rushing records, is reportedly heading to the Dallas Cowboys, while nothing is official yet. Sources close to team insiders suggest that negotiations have reached an advanced stage, sending shockwaves through the NFC. Henry's choice to potentially join the Cowboys has ignited a mixture of awe, excitement, and sheer panic among rival teams. For years, he has been the embodiment of power football, a force of nature capable of single-handedly turning the tide of any game. And now, if the rumors hold true, the Dallas offensive line could be the launch pad for what might become one of the most unstoppable ground attacks the league has ever seen. Imagine him pairing up with the Cowboys' already dynamic offense, a combination of speed, skill, and raw muscle that could redefine the NFC hierarchy overnight. Executives across the conference are said to be scrambling, reviewing their defensive schemes, and brainstorming ways to contain a back who seemingly laughs in the face of tacklers. Coaches are reportedly holding emergency meetings, studying game tape obsessively, and trying to envision how to slow down a player who has routinely left linebackers grasping at air. The buzz isn't just about his rushing yards. It's the psychological impact of facing a player who brings fear as much as he brings highlights. Cowboys fans, of course, are in a state of near euphoria. Social media is flooded with speculation, memes, and highlight reels as supporters imagine Henry barreling through defenses at AT&T Stadium, making jaw-dropping plays on every snap. Even the casual observer cannot ignore the potential implications. A team that already dominates with precision passing could now mix in raw, punishing power, creating nightmares for defensive coordinators league-wide. While nothing is set in stone, the mere possibility of Derrick Henry in a Cowboys uniform has created a ripple effect across the NFC. Rival teams are bracing, fans are dreaming, and the league's balance of power may be on the verge of a dramatic shift. One thing is certain: if this rumor proves true, the Cowboys could become a nearly unstoppable force, and the NFC might never look the same again. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.